Welcome to Simply Walk the Talk. Our bodies and minds adapt to what we do most of the time. If you want to change your body and mind, you must change what it is you do most of the time. This podcast explores all things health, wellness, fitness, lifestyle, and biohacking. Stay tuned as we explore various thoughts, methods, and experiences from a multitude of conversations between our interesting guests and experts through many fields of work. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Simply walk the talk. Simply walk the talk.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another wonderful show of Simply Walk the Talk. Today, I'm so thrilled, so excited. This is another video recommended episode in which I have a wonderful guest on. I'm thrilled because this guest and I, we had a wonderful conversation 2 weeks ago with an Instagram Live, and it just spurred so many conversations sort of within that live chat, but then also outside of the live chat. And it just made me think, like, you know what? We should get this guy on the show because, you know, this is sort of how I really love to communicate with people. I learn a lot. My guests learn a lot. We all kind of, I think the listeners and the viewers learn a lot. So this is one of those things where if you maybe didn't get a chance to check out the live, or even if you did, I think, you know, strap on your seatbelt, get ready, because I think we're going to have another wonderful conversation. And to pique your curiosity even more, this young man, we're actually the same age, so I guess I'm a young man as well. But this young man we've known of each other for quite some time. I think since like 2014 or so. And you know, we're going to talk all about like what he does, what his company is. His name is Mr. Andy Hnilo.
Hey.
So, Andy, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, Josh, it is a pleasure. Thank you for having me. And you're right, man. We hit it off for the first time. You know, it was 2014. I'll never forget. You were so supportive. I believe it was you and a friend. You know, it's just in those initial first couple of months, just kind of when you have that adrenaline going, and just you're hearing everybody, you know, completely validating the work that you're putting into building something. It was just so exciting. But I remember you specifically, and just yeah, man, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
My pleasure, man. And yeah, I think some of the people that because back then in the 2014 time frame, I was running a company. I was managing the Core Club, the fitness center at the Core Club. And this was right around the time when I had just kind of stepped away from training Madonna. And I was really trying to figure out like how to elevate my method, my brand, my sort of my way of doing things. And so I was kind of searching for myself, and there was a number of things that came out that made sense during that time period. And your company, Alitura, which we will get into, but your company, Alitura, had developed this amazing product, which we'll talk about. I'll let you explain it. But you developed this amazing product in which it made sense. And I was at the time, the girlfriend I was dating, her and I both were using it. And then also one of my colleagues, Santana Iglesias. Oh. Shout out to Santana. Yeah. Santana was also working with me there. And, you know, it was just a number of people that I started to kind of bring in to utilizing this product. And again, I promise we'll get all into the product, but it was a clay mask. And this clay mask, you would think, well, aren't there lots of clay masks out there? Couldn't you have just used, you know, any old random brand? And why was this guy's any different than the others? And I have to say, your story is what compelled me to look a little bit deeper, because your story was such that you had made this amazing transformation in such a short period of time. I thought to myself, you know what? And it was a guy. It's a guy who was in the modeling world, in the sports world, lot of things that I was doing at the time. I thought, okay, if he can do it, I better look into this because maybe I need to do something like this as well. So yeah, that was it, man.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's been just a beautiful ride, journey. You know, as you mentioned it. It just I never, you know, I was 29 years old when I got hit by, well, I guess, I mean, here, let's just start, man. I'm crossing the street. So Saturday night, I'm leaving dinner right at Snake Pit on Melrose and Sierra Bonita. I take a look down at my phone as I'm crossing the street. It's one of those like kind of dim lit areas where people they kind of make their own crosswalk, right? I mean, it's not the smartest move in the world. It's a bad habit of mine. I looked down at my phone for my Lyft driver that was going to pick me up, and I got struck by a westbound heading vehicle, lost consciousness, hit into the eastbound lane, and then run over by a Toyota Tundra. Both cars pulled over. Got my clothes cut off me in the middle of the street and woke up at a Cedars-Sinai ICU bed with my chin protruding through the bottom of my mouth. I mean, just from the middle of my chin to beneath my left ear, I had one of the worst compound fractures the resident maxillofacial surgeon at Cedars-Sinai had ever seen. So we had to find a specialist that he assisted on, Dr. Rosenberg assisted on, and they put me back together. I had a titanium plate inserted up top, one on the bottom, 7 broken ribs and a collapsed lung. And I went back to my little 680 square foot apartment in North Hollywood, just completely rocked and broken. But I mean, with a perspective of an interesting perspective of just being grateful to be alive. Like, I don't know if it was my body's response to trauma or what, or just having that mentality. I mean, my family was around me. It was kind of beautiful at the same time. Like, I had my sisters, my brother, my parents, everyone in that little apartment, just kind of, helping me feel better. There was so much love and support. And my job right there was just to take my medicine, go back to bed, because I was pretty banged up, but I just, it was interesting. It set the tone for my recovery, just having that love. And then also having that support from my nurses, bless their hearts. I mean, one of my nurses was a former Marine. I'm walking out of Cedars-Sinai Hospital. He's like, "Hey man, just remember, you're walking out of a hospital. Any day you can walk out of a hospital, it's a pretty good day." And it set the tone for my recovery right there. He was absolutely right. People don't survive those accidents, and it just really, I mean, that was a really good point. And so I had perspective before the accident, and I'm a very grateful individual. It definitely accelerated exponentially the zest for living life after that accident. That's for sure. But I had a long road to recovery, which definitely involved a lot of navigating the health and wellness space to a completely different level. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking meeting with Truth Calkins, Sage Dammers, Crosby Ware, George Lamoureux from Jing Herbs, Ron Teagarden from Dragon Herbs. I mean, I would meet with Chinese herbalists. My jaw was wired shut, my teeth were gone, and I just, so it's difficult to entirely enunciate my words and communicate the severity, but people quickly found out and they wanted to help. It was so beautiful, man. I was living in LA at the time, and I was in the entertainment industry, but that was put on hold. But I mean, that's how I was making my living at the time. And it was scary. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had very little money saved up. And so, man, I couldn't afford the products, the creams and expensive serums that my surgeons were recommending that I use to counteract the scarring. So what I had was a pre-existing clay mask that I would do every Sunday night that I definitely kept to myself, hid from my roommates, kind of jumped into the bathroom, applied it, and then went to my room, let it dry, jumped into the bathroom, showered, rinsed it off, and then boom, it set the tone for my week of auditions, following that. And so it was just kind of a routine that I would do every Sunday night. But I knew when I came back that I had that clay mask to bring a lot of circulation to the surface of the skin. But I did like a deep dive into skincare. I became obsessed with scar healing and just bringing circulation to hopefully mitigate some of the swelling that I had. But man, I mean, I was, I was hungry for knowledge, and it led to obviously a lot. But yeah, man, it was a frightening time for sure.
Yeah, what I would like to do is sort of give the listener and the viewer an idea of what your life was like leading up to that day that you are looking down at your phone and you get, your life flashes before your eyes. Like, because I think you just barely touched on the fact that your work was, you had to go to auditions and things like that. But let's give listeners an idea of who was Andy Hnilo before this accident. And then, and then we can obviously go into who you are now.
Absolutely. Well, okay. So I was born in a very small town in Northern California, called Fortuna, California. It's, up in the Redwoods, Humboldt County, up near Oregon. And I lived there until I was 2, moved down to San Francisco for my dad's work, moved to Petaluma, which is still in the Bay Area, Northern California, and then moved to Palo Alto at 11, Stanford University area, a little college town, where I'm at right now, actually, at my parents' house. So I have been an athlete my entire life, excelled in baseball, football, and basketball, got a opportunity to play in the Junior Olympics as a sophomore, and made a showcase of several showcases, which kind of got my name out there. And I started becoming heavily recruited for baseball and a little bit for football as well. But baseball was my main sport. I was a top 100 player coming out of high school. I had scholarship offers from several top 25 schools. I ended up going to UC Berkeley on a baseball scholarship, and redshirted my freshman year, came back, worked my butt off, and, expecting to play my redshirt freshman year, out hit the guy in front of me. Numbers don't lie, but there are politics in certain, in life, and it happens. Mm-hmm. So I transferred and went to a junior college with an intention to get drafted and start my professional career, and then go back to Berkeley and get my degree. And I had a bone bruise. I started off the season 5 for 12, 2 home runs, like just, really with high expectations. But I had a bone bruise in my top hand. So every time I'd make bad contact, it would kind of ring in there and just, excruciating pain. I had a cortisone shot, so that year was rough because I one bad contact, even in batting practice, before the game, it would just kind of stick around and then becomes like a mental thing for you. So yeah, I still got turned in and had a private workout with the San Francisco Giants it's now, I think, Oracle Park, but at the time it was AT&T Park. I'm talking in front of Larry Baer, Brian Sabian, Peter McGowan, all the national cross checkers, me and 2 other outfielders hitting in the same park that I'd gone to so many games and enjoyed and watched as a teenager. And so that was one of the best experiences of my life. Both other guys got drafted. I had a draft party, didn't get drafted. Went to, it was tough, man. But ended up going to Sacramento State and finished up at St. Mary's College. So I played on 3 Division I teams in 4 years of eligibility, which is I don't even think that's I don't even think you can do that now with transfer rules, but
that's right. Yeah.
In the early 2000s. Yeah. I really want to see if anybody's done that anyway, but, so I finished up at St. Mary's. I was a pitcher, an outfielder. Another draft party got turned in by the Brewers, White Sox, Diamondbacks. Fred Costello came out here, worked me out at my high school. Didn't get selected, didn't get signed. And so for a couple of weeks, I'm here in Palo Alto, living at home, wondering what I'm going to do with my life. I had an off-season job at Abercrombie and Fitch, a clothing store. So
I did as well.
Hey, man, yep. And so I had that, I guess, going for me with a college degree. But I don't know. My parents were wondering what I was going to do. And so was I. I had friends down in Los Angeles, and a friend of mine, Billy Snow, was an actor. And so I went down, he gave me his a little couch to crash on, and went down there with my futon and a couple $100 in my pocket, and kind of just, they transferred me from the Stanford store down to the Santa Monica store, and I started working in retail. And Billy was an actor at the time, and he was auditioning for an independent feature film called Great American Dream. And it was a baseball film, and I was freshly out. And so I was kind of, when you don't care, you kind of just nail things. You don't overthink it, and you usually perform your best. And so I was, giving him tips on how to talk, little nuances that ball players have and things like that. And about a week into it, going over running lines opposite of his character, he was like, "Man, have you ever thought about doing this?" And it was kind of cool that he even brought that up or said that, because I, idolized him as an actor, and he'd been in quite a bit of stuff. And so it never happens, obviously, without representation or manager and agent or anything like that. But he took a picture, told the director a little bit about my baseball background, and he got me an audition for that. I got another callback, screen tested. I ended up booking the lead in that role and filmed for 6 weeks, which I fell in love with baseball again, and then wanted to go back and play. So get this. So after filming that, I got representation. It was great. And so but I also fell in love with baseball again. So I was practicing with Beverly Hills High School and with the intention to go back and play. So I signed a contract with this winter ball team to be seen and hopefully get picked up by the Golden Baseball League, which is still it's independent, but it's still professional. But it's like $850 a month, living with host families, PBJs, definitely not radiating health. I don't know. But at the same time, looking back, I don't know. I mean, I definitely feel like I made the right decision, but I don't know. Who knows? I mean, we stay on top of things. Maybe we can go back. It's right. Like, who knows? But yeah, I remember just meditating that whole weekend because I booked a recurring on Days of Our Lives, like a small little 3-episode thing. And I just meditated on Running Canyon that whole weekend, and it came to me. And so I gave up ball, walked away. And then that year turned out to be just a really, really, really good year for me, and just kind of introduced me in the entertainment industry. And then it's just, it was, how that goes. You need nighttime work on the weekends to audition through the week. And luckily I had that dialed in, and it was fun. I mean, booked, like I said, Days of Our Lives, Bold and Beautiful, walked the runway for Calvin Klein, Macy's, Passport, Fitum, you name it. So that was, that's what I was doing. And, shortly after that, things happened with, definitely.
I'll just throw this in here quickly because of just how parallel our lives have been, and the fact that you just went over that story, because we didn't go over that much detail in the Instagram live chat. So I didn't know that about you, but just quickly, I know exactly what you're talking about, or very close to what you're talking about in terms of having the draft party and not getting selected, and then trying to go on and make other decisions. Because basically the way my career was going, I'm a basketball player. I played a little bit of baseball early on, but basketball was my sport, football and track. But I excelled in basketball, and basically I was. You see, at the point, maybe I was a junior in college, and I ended up breaking my wrist in a basketball game, my right wrist. And so I'm right-handed. I broke my wrist. Yeah, it's my shooting hand. And that, for me, that was this moment of talk about introspection and just being totally aware of what's going to happen. All these people throughout my life, my dad and a lot of peers were telling me, make sure you have something in place in case basketball doesn't work out. And all those voices and all those images started flashing in my psyche right when I broke my wrist. I remember I was at a basketball game at Langston, and this was a very heated rivalry. We were playing well. A guy missed his defensive assignment on the backside. I ended up having to kind of cover for him, even though my guy was the shooter. And so I'm here to either take a charge or to go head to head with this guy who could jump out the gym. And so, of course, I'm not going to take a charge because this dude could jump over me. So I kind of jump with him, right? And dude tries to dunk on me. But as he tries to dunk on me, he has his forearm out. And so when I'm jumping in the air, I end up becoming top heavy because he shoves his forearm in my chest to try to dunk. And so in slowed down time, I could see that I'm about to probably land on my head once I come down because I'm toppling over. And what I end up doing is I do end up hitting my head, but I put my hands down, which is kind of a no-no, right? But do you take a concussion, or do you potentially hurt your wrist, or do you do both? Luckily, I didn't get a concussion or anything, but I noticed that when I got up, my right wrist was hurting, and I kind of hold it because I didn't want to get checked out of the game, and I wanted to keep playing, and I'm holding my wrist, and the guy shoots his free throws, and then I look over at the bench, and I had this look on my face where coach, he calls timeout because he knew something was up. So he calls timeout, and I'm like holding my wrist, and I'm like, Coach, I might need to check out for just a little bit. I need to get this looked at. And by the time all of that happened, the free throws and him calling timeout and me going over to the bench, my wrist swelled up like crazy to where I could barely move it. Now, mind you, I wanted to keep playing because I had aspirations of going to play professional afterwards, and this is my junior year, and I want to do the best I absolutely can. And so my dad was in the stands, who used to be a former EMT, and I just was like, hey, what do you think? Do you think this is broken? And he's like, nah, it's not broke. Of course it's not broke, right? So he tapes it up for me because there was no good care there at that facility. So he tapes it up for me. And within the next, few minutes, I checked back into the game. But the time it took for him to tape it and me to check back into the game, my wrist had swelled up to where you couldn't even see the tape, right? And so now I'm playing with one hand. I'm playing with my left hand, doing my thing, whatever. But coach is like, look, Josh, like we should probably just, check you out. And I was gutted. It was right before the Christmas holidays. And I get an X-ray shows no breaks. Long story short, a couple weeks later, there was no improvement. So I go to Oklahoma City, find out that there's 2 breaks, right? It almost broke completely in half. So both sides of my wrist, it was broken. And so now I'm faced with like, okay, do I sit out my junior year or do I do something different? So what I did was I learned to play with my left hand. Long story short, again, I ended up healing, get back, start to play. Fast forward to me graduating. My senior year was okay. Never was quite good enough to be at this level of playing professional. So I kind of had hopes of just playing overseas. And I was playing with guys who had, were on their way to the NBA or who had former NBA or D1 athletes. And long story short, I got to this point where I was doing really well because I was a late bloomer. I was doing really well at a lot of these camps. So there was talk about me possibly going to the D League, because back then it wasn't the G League. It was known as the D League, which is the developmental league. And I guess that would be similar to the minor leagues in baseball, right? And I ended up having some really good camps. And people were calling me left and right, calling my manager. And I ended up finally doing really well at the camp in Oklahoma. And it was in Tulsa. And I just knew from that camp that a team was going to pick me up for sure. So I ended up talking to the group from that's now Oklahoma City Thunder, but back then they were still the Seattle Supersonic. And out of all the people at that camp, they came to talk to me first, right? Out of all the people there. And they're like, who is this guy? I was shooting lights out that camp. I was doing really well. So they said, hey, listen, we like you. We want to submit you to the draft, the D League draft. But because we have a number of guys that we have our eyes on that actually fit the bill for what we're really looking for, we will submit you to the draft to see if any other teams pick you up. If no other teams pick you up, then we will talk about ways to incorporate you into our system. So kind of like what you did, you had a draft party. So what did I do? I had a draft party because these guys are telling me that like, hey, we submitted your name, so let's see what happens. So I make my way back to Manhattan. I'm here in Manhattan in Times Square. I go to, I think it was like Buffalo Wild Wings or whatever big like facility you can go to with all these screens, because I wanted to make sure every channel was on. And as the minutes went by, it's like the first pick and then the 10th pick and then the first round and then the second round. And I slowly but surely, I could just see like I was slowly becoming like depressed to the point where I'm like, damn, what is my life meant to be? Here I am. I had a few friends come and invite me. And then after the first round, a few of them leave. And then after the second round, a few more leave. And they're like, oh, you'll be fine, Josh. You'll get picked up. And I just remember what that felt like. So I can only imagine what it felt like for you, because you did it twice, sounds like, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, I only bring that story up just to kind of draw the parallel path because, I know the mentality of that person. And the reason why I wanted to ask you about that part of your life is because I think that goes to show like just how important it was for you to work with as many people as you can to try to build your product and to try to figure out where the rest of your life was going, your career was going.
Absolutely. So, it's adversity, right? Battling through that, bouncing back. Man, that's such a good point. And I had no idea about, about that in your life. We didn't discuss that. It's, man, what do you say? Because that's a heartbreaking feeling. I can't think of another adjective. I mean, it was my mom and my mom was crying. It was, there were 50 rounds in ball too. And I didn't even, I listened to because back in the day it was on MLB.com all through audio. This is 2003. So but that right then and there, I just, at the draft party. And then when that came back, it was nice to be able to kind of walk away at the end when there was an opportunity. However, during that time, you're not thinking that it's devastating for sure. Right. Especially with everything that, you're told and how much, that's all, you can correct me if you're wrong, but was that your life? That was my life. I had no plan B, really. Like communications, major in communication, American studies, but you know how it is as athletes. We wanted, our major. I didn't put enough emphasis into deciding on a major. I was one track minded into being a professional baseball player. And that quickly, came to a frightening end after graduation. You know what I mean? So it's just a weird dichotomy, but that adversity and resilience that and also, but the biggest thing that we get through athletics is that resilience and that ability to bounce back combined with work ethic and then just the overall discipline that it takes to be a high level athlete, Division I, Pac-10, all that, like 6 a.m. weights, especially being a two-way player. You're not afraid of work. Right. You know what I mean? You're not afraid of work. You're definitely not afraid of being down and out. Maybe one night, you know what I mean? You lose that championship, but you can't, that's the biggest thing with sports. I think you'll agree is just, you got to flush it. Basketball, you have a game next, every 3 or 4 days a week. Yep. Baseball, 5, 6, you get a couple days off a month. Yep. Even in minor leagues too, once a month, 13-hour bus rides, you know what I mean? It's just, I'm right where I'm supposed to be, but it took, everything played a part in my life. You know what I mean? The resilience, challenging yourself, going to those, challenging yourself at the plate, going 1 for 4, failing 3 times, 2 punch outs, bouncing back, coming back the next game, just flushing the previous game. If it's just a part of that resilience that is built through sports and athletics and working well with others. It just goes hand in hand. Sports, without question, has been the catalyst in my, excuse me, in my development, not only as a human being, but as a businessman as well.
Well said, dude. I think it's something worth mentioning yet again, because there's a couple things people can do when they're faced with that type of adversity. You can choose to either let that define who you are in that moment. I am a failure. I didn't get drafted. What does that mean? I told everyone all of these things. Now what do they think about me? Or you can go, okay, well, what's next? Or what do I need to do next time to get better, to achieve that, if that is the goal? And for me, fortunately, I did have, kind of like you said, like I did have the opportunity. Once I did not get drafted, they did give me the opportunity to go to Tulsa to play on their home team, but not be on the full team. And they were like, and mind you, I had just moved to New York, right? So I was living in New York at the time, and basketball kind of came back, kind of like with you when you started acting. Yeah. Baseball came back. For me, I literally had hung up basketball because I had graduated. I didn't get picked up, after any camps. So I started doing some acting as well. But when I was working out at Equinox, back then it was Reebok Sports Club, I was simply there just working out, playing ball, just trying to stay in shape, right? And that was my workout. And a few people were like, dude, like, where did you go to school? Oh, I went to a small school in Oklahoma. Like, you didn't play D1? No, I didn't play D1. Well, like, these guys that you're killing out here on the court, they play overseas now, and you're not playing overseas. You could be making some money. And I was like, no, I didn't know it was an option. Fast forward, I did end up going to do that eventually, but it's still never, I realized from that first adversity that didn't define me. So I had enough things in place where it was like, I could do some modeling, I could do some acting, I could make some extra money. And then I became a trainer. Imagine if I had really let that beat me down, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now, talking with you, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, I think let's now talk about, so you were faced with this adversity. Your life was on an upward trajectory, and then you are hustling in LA, I guess, right? And then you get into this accident, and then you briefly alluded to kind of how you started building your company. Where is it now? Like, what did you learn from that initial process? Because I know you said you had a clay mask, but if I recall from the Instagram live we did, you needed to kind of fill some holes and try out a few things here and there. What did that look like? Can you explain that to the listener and the viewer?
Man. So, I mean, coming back from that and having your dream of, I had this outside dream, waiting for the phone to ring, taking care of yourself, studying, taking acting classes, making sure you're on point for auditions, booking here and there, developing that momentum, and then boom, it stops, and it's like you're unrecognizable, your teeth are gone, your jaw's wired shut, your friends are telling you, what are you going to do? You're going to get any money out of that? No, it was my fault. I mean, it's just like, I didn't really, I really thought it was done. And I'm like, well, hey, I decide when the door closes, you know what I mean? Like right. That's up to me. I didn't like that. I went back home and I was like, all right, I put together a plan. When my parents left, it's like, all right, let's find a way. Let's find a way to beat this thing. I wait for, it's like I had that pre-existing mask. I didn't want to leave the house. My jaw was out to here. My teeth were gone. And, I went to a whole new grocery store. Seriously, it just became, because I didn't want to, the conversation, eye contact, and then quickly down to my jaw. I mean, it was out, there was a lot of swelling, significant swelling. But what I did is I started just finding, that as soon as my parents left, every hour of every day became like, it had a point to it as part of that recovery. Mm-hmm. So whether it was, my ankles, knees, elbows, shoulder, everything was intact. So I'd wait for the sun to come down. So, the sun would bake in my scars and abrasions. And I would just go back Chandler bike path, 3.5 there and back to get a little circulation from head to toe. And I had the mask, and but I also had this morning tonic that I developed through meeting with the different Chinese herbalists and experts in the health and wellness industry that were friends of mine. Mm-hmm. I'd go over to Air One. I don't know if you've been to Air One in LA. Do they have one in New York, by the way, yet?
Not yet, but I'm a huge fan of Air One. So yeah. I know it for sure.
Yeah. And so I would scour the health and beauty aisles. I would kind of like every product that I found had some type of hole in it, whether it was fragrance, preservative, some type of synthetic chemical that it would be so good without that. And so what I would do is I'd isolate those raw ingredients or those active ingredients and then order them in bulk. Or I didn't have much money. Some of the smaller extracts like pearl powder and things like that. Pearl powder actually I was adding to my morning tonic, but I would isolate certain ingredients and then spot treat them and test them and see how they worked with each other in the pre-existing clay masks that I was doing every Sunday night. Mm. So, but a lot of things didn't work. It really just came down to particle size. I really didn't know, the knowledge, for me right then and there, it just made a lot, it was theoretical, but it made a lot of sense to create a system to bring a lot of that blood flow to the surface of the skin. And then when the mask completely dried, it provided an exfoliating effect to it. So it would draw out a lot of the impurities. I had x-rays every month. I had a CT scan from, obviously the initial, after the initial injury and just to see if everything was intact and also the x-rays to see how the bone was growing back, but also, the painkillers and the antibiotics that I was in just a fog, in a daze, you know what I mean? So removing those impurities that close to my face, relieving that congestion. I was swollen. I was just in a fog. I was a zombie, those painkillers, narcotics, stay away from those, man, if you can.
Yeah.
Cause it's just, I was doing my best to find all natural remedies for, the different, just head to toe inflammation that I had. And so in meeting with those different herbalists and experts, I put together this morning tonic that, we're talking deer placenta, egg yolks, bison liver, Hoshu Woosh, Azandra, Chaga, Reishi, Gynostemma, Ashwagandha, and a blend of amino acids to increase circulation from head to toe. you know? So it was basically like a superfood meal that I would kind of mix up and put through this little area through the back of my mouth where I just had a little slit where I could, suck it in through a straw.
Oh yeah.
And then, so some of those ingredients, the pearl powder and the colostrum specifically, and then also the spirulina, which I ended up going with an organic kelp extract instead, but still the same idea of just bringing, if it was building myself from the inside out, I wanted to hit it from the outside as well. Now it was just a total, I don't know. I mean, that's how I came up with adding pearl powder, colostrum, L-ascorbic acid, which is a high potency, very a potent form of vitamin C, American ginseng, and of course the organic kelp powder. But those, I mean, a lot of things didn't work, but it became a complete creative outlet for me, just and seeing what worked and what didn't. I mean, when it worked and you saw some type of like incremental, advance in your recovery, I mean, it's the best feeling in the world. And so, I mean, I remember a few weeks later, I picked up Christina Rodriguez from the Burbank airport. She had seen me right when I was out of the ICU, like at home, just on my little, mattress on the floor, no box spring, by the way. And she was completely blown away just at my appearance because the abrasions were gone. I mean, the swelling was still there. The scar right here was, that's not going to go away within weeks, but I just stayed the course with that recovery. I mean, every day or every other day, I was doing that mask just to hopefully just mitigate the swelling, and then following it up with, the same thing. Like when I would go to the health and beauty aisles at different beauty, Whole Foods, Air One, obviously. Where else did I go? I'd meet with different estheticians. I'd go to med spas and just kind of pick their brain. I couldn't afford the facials at the time, but I was that guy. I just wanted to find a way, and just little, people were sweet about it, man. They knew what I was going through and they give suggestions, but I was just a sponge and I would try things out and then finally just come up with, what's now the Alitura clay mask. And then also following that was a little paste that I'd make, which is now the night cream, but just a blend of like cacao butter, beeswax, sea buckthorn oil. I mean, it was thick, and I'd melt it down into what's now like creating a little paste to follow up the clay mask to nourish that area, but as almost like a moisturizer. And it was just, oh man, it was great. Just all day. I just became obsessed with getting in better shape than I was before the accident. Cause I just didn't really like, the fact that people were counting me out, and, right. And it just became a big, big goal of mine to recover as quick as I could. And, so Christina had me, she was wondering what I was doing. I kind of, kept it to myself, being a guy in skincare, but, I told her about the mask. She was a close friend of mine. So I went over there, mixed it for her and her friend, and they fell in love with it. I started, driving around town with a little bamboo bowl, a little, handshaking the little plastic container of the mask, and apple cider vinegar, some lavender oil and lemongrass or sweet orange, and just kind of explain. I mean, I would go over to people's houses I didn't even know. She was a dancer at the time, so she had a lot of models and dancers in her network. And so I was just going around, just never with an intention to have a product, but it was just my little thing. I mean, it was my creative outlet, and it was just undeniably effective to me. And I just kind of just wanted to stay the course and just get feedback. It was just my thing. It was like making a meal for someone. And then, I mean, seriously, you just do it for the love. I really 100% mean that. It was just like something that I needed, that it was, I felt like, when you're kind of going through that and you're getting your zest back as a human being, those little victories, and whether it's creating something or getting good, validated, positive feedback on something that you created, man, it feels good. Right. I mean, so
for sure,
that's how it started. That's really how it started. Just kind of, fine tuning it for about a year and a half.
I love the kind of the full circle moment in which, you utilize your resiliency, your drive, your motivation, your being able to withstand adversity from being a sports, from being an athlete. You applied that to being very diligent and honing in the craft of working with skincare. And I would definitely say now, bro, you're in the big leagues. Oh. This is the big leagues, man. I mean, honestly, like, it's like if you draw that correlation, to me, that's making it right there, right? And then you don't stop there because you haven't stopped, right? So it's like you make it into the big leagues, you make it on, some team, but you still got to perform. And I think that's what you're doing. And that's why I have you on the show. And this is why I love staying connected and being as closely, closely working with Alitura as much as I can, because I truly believe in it. And I think, it's something that the people listening to my show, watch my channels and things like that, I think they truthfully know that I'm trying to be as genuine as I can when it comes to talking with people, but also representing various products that I might put out there. And of course, we all understand nowadays that there's probably, some kind of affiliate sponsorship or kickback or whatever. But all in all, like, I'm only going to be talking with people that are truly walking the walk, right? And walking the talk, which is the name of this show, but also things that I use in my everyday life. So kudos to you, bro, for building this, for getting to where you are. And I think it would be important now to maybe talk about your lineup of products, and then we can even discuss kind of what's in it. For people who are listening and watching, you could go to alitura.com, and obviously at the end of the show, we'll provide discount codes and talk about various products in the future. But let's talk about Alitura. What does it even mean, by the way?
Oh man! First off, thank you for what you just said. I appreciate that, man. I love where I'm at. And you're absolutely right. I wouldn't trade this for a major league career. I'm dead serious. I mean that. I actually had that conversation with a friend recently, which I'd never really even thought about until recently, which is interesting. I mean, I love what I do. I'm a flat out obsessed and addicted to my it's not even a company. It's my life, man. I mean, it's everything. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just, it's overall wellness, skincare, health, nutrition, supplements, peptides, you name it. I mean, it's what I eat, breathe, and sleep. Even when I was playing baseball, I'd write up little diet plans for friends who teammates who, they'd see me over there by the tuna and the spinach rather than the pizza, burgers. And I look at Hnilo. Next thing you know, I'm getting an email writing up a diet plan for our backup catcher. I mean, it was just, that's where it started. This is something I just, and then when you get back and you get back, you bounce back through that resilience, and then you get your zest back. You just want to stay the course for the rest of your life, and you want to help other people that are going through similar situations and tell them they can get, or at least just kind of point them in the right direction, or give them an example of someone that has bounced back and I don't know. I'm not trying to like kind of thriving or whatever when people, said that I wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, it's really, I'm not trying to be like, Joe, inspiration, but I mean, I really do. There are a lot of people out there that need that. And then there's a lot, I mean, I know I did at that time, and I had a lot of good friends that motivated me to stay the course on recovery. So I really appreciate you saying that, man. And,
absolutely.
Yeah. Alitura is Latin for feeding and nourishing, right? I mean, get this, when I first started it, there was a glow. There's a glow about the clay mask. And that was the hardest thing. Like, when I first did the podcast with Dave, the last 10 minutes, he asked me about what I did with my skin. We were just talking supplements, not supplements, how I bounce back, a lot of the time with his, most of it was how I used, the collagen protein to kind of generate the skin, during a thicker collagen layer, and then also the coffee and this. I'd never drank coffee before. And then during the recovery, I was introduced to Bulletproof. And so I had Bulletproof coffee for the first time, springing out of bed, just motivated to get after it. And so I long story short, I troubleshooted Dave's email, got on that. They brought me on board as an ambassador, but I wanted to work for Bulletproof in reaching out to Dave. And so one of those emails went through. I'm talking D.Asprey, Dave.Asprey, David at Bulletproof Exec, which is a contact form back then. Just copy pasted the same email, before and after pictures of me in the ICU and me in like Men's Health Magazine going, "Hey man, thank you so much. Like, so grateful for you and your attention to detail with ingredients and your products. Like, it would be a dream of mine to work for Bulletproof." And so one of those went through. They got back to me, brought me on board as an ambassador. And I think, you and I were both ambassadors for Bulletproof at that time. And then he had me on his podcast, and that's how this all started. I mean, but where I'm going with that is, just before that podcast, we were still trying to figure out the names. It was Golden Glow, all one word, both G's capitalized, no W. But come on, man, it sounded like a bronzer, a little bit of a bronzer twist to it. But so that's we had to come up with a name quickly after that. So that's where Alitura basically came from. It's Latin for feeding and nourishing, and you know, your skin being your largest organ, it's so important to treat it as if it were another mouth. Because, I mean, what you put on top of your skin is going to be absorbed within seconds into your bloodstream. I mean, potentially disrupt, I mean, depending on what's in it. It's just, there's so many government recognized carcinogens located in products commonly located on store shelves. And it's up to us. I mean, just in the beauty industry, especially if you're is clean and if it's important to you and your mission and ingredient integrity is true, it's up to us just to spread the word about that, about identifying your ingredient decks and finding out what's clean and what isn't, scanning the ingredient decks, you know, getting that app Think Dirty to scan your ingredient decks from 0 to 10 on its cleanliness level. I mean, it's that important, something that you're rubbing into, onto your skin, you know, hair, whatever it is daily. It's, I mean, there's a study that women leave the house with over 200 on average, with over 200 government recognized carcinogens through their, you know, I mean, you name it. I mean, hairspray, makeup, lipstick, you know, with different shampoos, deodorants, lotions. Sure, they smell great, but fragrance is the biggest culprit as far as at the synthetic toxin level. I mean, it's so I mean that was something where in the recovery process when I was going through those aisles and I was identifying certain things, you know, the sodium benzoate, phenoxyethanol, the natural fragrance is a government recognized. You're allowed to say that and still make your own. I mean, you can make anything smell. You know what I mean? Like this Pellegrino right here. You can have it smell like popcorn with that. I mean, just, you can make any fragrance that you want synthetically, but it's so much better when you take the time to do it through organic botanicals and essential oils. And so that's the route that we go, that I just felt was just closest to nature and that my body would respond best to, just initially early on. It just made sense to me. And
when you got on the Bulletproof exec, was it Bulletproof Radio then? I guess it was Bulletproof Radio.
Yeah.
With Dave Asprey. When you were on that show, I couldn't tell you because I didn't know you really. I didn't know you then, but I was so excited for you. And a lot of it was because, like, for whatever reason, and again, I don't even know how I came across, you know, your mask at the time, but when I heard you on the show, it felt as if like I was on my way as well. You know, I'm kind of like, I'm on the inside scoop and I'm hearing, and that was my first time hearing your story. I think I had seen maybe some pictures or whatever. But when I actually heard your story and you were talking with Dave, and at the end, he kind of sort of started to talk more about actually what you were doing and what you were applying, I just thought to myself, yeah, something's going to happen. Something is going to happen with this company, with this brand, because, you know, at the time, and I think a lot still today, Dave Asprey had like the Midas touch. So everything he touched was gold, maybe golden glow, right?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so I mean, obviously, big shout out to Dave Asprey, and I know we talked a bit about him when we did our Instagram live, but I think this was a huge catalyst for you and for your brand. But one of the things that stands out from that conversation that we did have a couple weeks ago was how you were sort of forced to kind of get your shit together. You had it together, but you really had to get your shit together whenever you started to, I guess, when Dave decided to kind of back you, right?
Right. Oh man. So I mean, when that aired, he got such a response. And I gave out my personal email address, and there were so many people reaching out. I mean, every time I refreshed my Yahoo email address or my inbox, it was just like a fresh new, whatever it was, 25 emails. It's people saying the sweetest things, but also people trying to figure out where they can purchase this clay mask they just heard about. And so Dave was getting a big response as well. And so he flew down to LA. We came to terms on an agreement. I had a deadline to hit. I mean, I didn't know my cost of goods. I mean, just crash course in a matter of days just to figure everything out, order the ingredients, pop them in a U-Haul. I had a space in Malibu where just for a month. And June, I mean, I had to get everything into Dave's warehouse, 5,000 units of the clay mask. I mean, we had filmed, I think, a second podcast after that once we came to terms on an agreement, and then a third podcast that aired June 26th. And man, that was just a surreal feeling, because you're absolutely right. I mean, Dave didn't have a skincare product. He basically, the Alitura Clay Mask was his bulletproof approved skincare product that people, signed off on. And luckily people responded well to it. And I mean, that was just on the second podcast. I had people reach out locally because I didn't have any employees. I had friends that would come up and kind of help out. I was working. It was like at the height of when I was working for Oakley. I was modeling, surfing sport, training, golf, and lifestyle and icon. 5 different, I was doing fit stuff for them, but also print and e-commerce work as well. So, I mean, those were long days for all those different departments. And so there were some nights where I even had to pull all-nighters and then go into work the next day. Seriously, all the way down in Santa Ana, hour and a half, hour, 45 minutes, got to be there by 8 a.m. Like it was a complete grind, but I mean, it was pure adrenaline though. You're living your dream in 2 different, avenues. Number one, working with Dave Asprey. I mean, I seriously idolized it. I would, kind of tweet him in the years leading up. I'd never get a response. Maybe I get a like every now and then. And here I am, here I am working with him. It was, I still, obviously, I owe it all to Dave Asprey. I mean, without him, I don't think I'd be here. I'm not sure, but that's how we acquired our customer, and we filmed another one a year after that. And just staying, just the course and just who we are as human beings, treating people, as a reflection of yourself. What do I want? You know what I mean? I want authenticity. I want transparency and just ultimate ingredient integrity. Just integrity. You know what I mean? Character with products. You know what I mean? It's not that hard. We have control as formulators and business owners. What are you made of? What are you built from? Like, how do you want to treat other people? What do you want to be known at? Like, how do you want to be known? I love great people, man. I love nice, sweet, caring, generous people. It makes, you can create that ripple effect. And but really bouncing back and getting back to where I was as a human, getting my zest back. I just felt like, there was a big chance here. Purpose wise. And there is no better, I'm telling you right now, Josh, there is absolutely no better feeling than the impact this industry has created for me and my family. Like it's so beautiful. Like I don't get the order notifications anymore, but I absolutely make sure I get the review notifications because it's just, it is so sweet, man. It is what we do right now is it's kind of like this, celebrating the customer, taking a page out of Phil Knight's book with Nike. We just want the people that reach out and leave these like paragraph thick reviews on what type of skin transformation they've had with our products. It's just this, and then we reach out to them, seeing if they'd, be willing to record a video, basically saying the same thing. And so that's how we want to do. We just want to spread the word by celebrating our customers, celebrating the stories that you can heal your skin naturally, even better, and get long-term results, that way. It's very important to me getting away from those carcinogens just over time. I feel like that just definitely accelerates aging, decreases longevity. Disrupting your, at a hormonal level, which I know you can talk about. It's disrupting your endocrine system. We have a chance to make a huge impact in that. I think we are, and it's starting to spread too, because when I first started this, there were smaller brands that were clean, but man, it's, now we have Audacity, Osea, Amorigiani, iSun, May Lindstrom. I think Alitura is up there. There's people, it's very important now to, and people are becoming, it makes a lot of sense, especially with the way the world's going right now. It's like trust, truth, transparency, honesty, man, it's everything. And so,
right. Yeah. And the way that it's been going for you guys, as a company, at least from my perspective on the outside, sort of looking in, it's been amazing, beyond amazing. Your team is great. And again, I know I mentioned this on the Instagram live, but I recall back when there were and by the way, I want to make sure, like, we, as much as we can, I want to try to include some of these photos or video clips that we talked about, and I can include it into this episode so people can see, if you're willing to share it, people can see like when your mouth was stapled shut. And we can do this, I can edit this in, later, but, and like even some of those images of you as an Oakley model and, and all these things, I think it would be exciting because I think stories shape our history, and your brand is very much a brand about an amazing story of transformation. And I recall, like, very vividly, I recall seeing images, photos, and videos of you literally packing and mixing and shipping out like your products yourself. Your Andy Hnilo's hands would be sending these things out with like handwritten messages and chicken scratch, like,
oh yeah.
But it's a beautiful thing, right?
It is. I mean, I used to 3-bar shifts a week, right? Maybe walking with $40 tips, plus your hourly rate, $8 after taxes. That's nothing. But I mean, and then you get the orders that were coming in, they were trickling in, and I would do the math. I'm like, oh, I don't have to work at a bar anymore. You know what I mean? Like, and then I'm talking like as soon as it launched. And then I got out of that industry, late night work, and I started locking in on my purpose. And so, yeah, absolutely. When that first year, first, second, third, I think I finally signed off on a fulfillment center in late 2017. We went with Easy Post, and I think it's San Leandro. But up until then, I'm telling you, self-fulfilling. I mean, laundry baskets. I mean, I remember my car broke down once, had to take a lift over to the post office right on Riverside, walking home with 2 laundry baskets full. You know what I mean? But it's like, what else would I rather be doing? I'm working for myself. I created something that people want. Like, there is absolutely no better feeling. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I mean, that right there, the hiring process has been difficult because I hire friends. I mean, I needed help immediately right off the bat. Luckily, a couple of customers that were local would do stuff for like product trades and things like that. But it was such a beautiful organic growth that I would just, and I didn't have the business background. I never wrote a business plan. Dave was writing his book that year, so he was, super busy. But man, when you're given an opportunity, I mean, some people respond differently, but man, that excitement and adrenaline hasn't left, man. I mean, it's still, every day it's like, what's next? Let's go. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
And yeah.
Are there any stories that you can share aside from your own? Because we've obviously talked about your story, and it's an amazing transformation. And I mean, look at you now. you look great, and you know the product frontwards and backward because you literally put your hands in it, and you've built this company the way you have on the shoulders of giants like Dave Asprey, which is amazing. But like, are there some other stories? Because I know there are people out there that are probably thinking, all right, with me, they probably, because I get this a lot. I'm not just saying this because I'm making it up, but a lot of people will comment on my skin, and they will say, Josh, well, you must have good genes. And I'm like, well, you haven't seen my family, because like not everyone has good skin and not everyone's in good shape and all these things. So it's not quite that. It's a lot of what we do with our epigenetics and how we choose to create our environment and what we put in our body and we consume on a daily basis. This has a lot to do with it, but there are some products that I like to use, and Alitura is definitely one of them. But let's say for the people who are listening to this show or watching the show and they've never heard of Alitura, or they've never understood like what the hell a mask, like what are you talking about, a clay mask, or what do you mean you were drinking like deer placenta and bison liver and all these things, like what do you mean? I mean, I think maybe we can, if you can come up with like 1 or 2 testimonials, so to speak, or stories of things that this can help. Like for instance, I'll give you an example. One, we talked about on the Instagram Live about people with severe acne and how, you're either forced to, you have a couple decisions. You can try to clean up your diet, which would be the holistic way, clean up your diet, use some things like a proper mask, and other various supplements, or you go down the medical route of taking, these very harmful medications that end up having way worse, I would say, effects, but maybe your skin looks good, right? So like, let's talk about some of this so people can kind of relate a little bit more to what you've built.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I went to Upgrade Labs and I met one of the worst cystic acne cases I've ever seen from someone who now is working with us. Her name's Olivia. I don't know if you want me to pop up this before and after, but
please do. Are you able to share on your side, or do I need to share it?
So if I were to put this in a chat for you to share it,
let's see.
Would that work? Okay, so
I think so. This will be the first, because I've only shared my screen whenever we've done these, but I'm sure we can figure it out. And it's not on your website, is it?
So we do have some documentation on the website, but if you go to Instagram in the testimonials right here, let me see if I can pull this up.
This will be fun for those who are watching, because you're gonna see this in real time, just how well or not well this happens.
Yes. So how do you know how I'm able to share? Where would I go?
Look on the bottom of your screen where it says like screen, mic, speaker, camera.
Got it. Screen.
Yeah, go to screen.
Okay.
And then that'll allow you to share from either a tab that you may have open or a page or your entire screen.
Got it. Okay, cool. So
I think it is going to work.
Let's see.
Yeah, dude. There we go.
All right. Here we go. So you look at Olivia right here. I mean, look at this. Can you see that, Josh?
Yeah, dude.
I mean, it's just she came up, talked to me right here on the actually no, that's not the on the right. That's actually the Best You conference. But I talked to her at Upgrade Labs, and seeing this, she came up, she was, look at that on the bottom. I mean, and then right here, she is just a lovely, so just full of energy. I can't even tell you how awesome she's been. So not only as like a sounding board with us, and just how natural products can counteract injuries such as, right then and there, you do see that with, there
you go. That's what I was talking about. That's it. So, for those that are listening, Andy has pulled up on the website, on, I guess, this story. So if you, there you go. He pulled up on the Alitura.com pages / our story. Andy is in the hospital bed. I hate to be frank, but bro, you look dead. Honestly.
Man. My chin was protruding through the bottom of my mouth. There was a compound fracture. Just really, really banged up. We've had just countless stories on just how, the science of pulling out. Number one, it's a total system, Josh. You have to get sunlight. You have to analyze what you're eating. Obviously, women have it a little different at a hormonal level, but at the same time, you have to focus on, staying hydrated, what you're eating, maybe get your blood work done, find out your inflammation markers, and then applying. I think the most important thing is applying clean products, eating a clean, nutrient dense diet, doing your best to mitigate, the stress in your life, getting sunlight. I'm big on saunas, working out, but just getting that circulation going, and then using clean products, deodorant. You name it. It's just everything, just mitigating the impurities, and then finding. There's Think Dirty is a good app that you can scan the UPC codes and get a 0 to 10 rating on your ingredient decks.
It's called Dirty.
Think Dirty. Think Dirty.
Thinkdirty.com.
Thinkdirty.com. They have a good app that you can download. You can scan different UPC codes and get a 0 to 10 rating on the cleanliness of your products that you're using. And so that right there has been huge. Just, I feel like you want to keep it somewhat simple, but at the same time, you can take it to another level with different things. We're going to be making eye gel, a skin activating tonic that we're going to be like a once a week kind of like cellular resurfacing treatment, but really just, a cleanser, a nice mask, maybe 1 to 3 times a week, and then moisturizing that with a clean moisturizer, and then a serum if you want to, kind of get it at a cellular level with a more concentrated moisturizer with active ingredients, more of like an anti-aging moisturizer, and then a night cream to seal in the results. And the most important time to do so when you're in one position for hours. That's the main thing. You just want to make sure that you're constantly, well, not constantly, but exfoliating, reintroducing
Right.
healing ingredients to that area, and then hydrating that area in the most important time to do so. So you wake up feeling fresh. I really feel like that's the system right there to just age gracefully. You know, everybody, I mean, there are no quick fixes. You have to stay consistent with this. You know, I mean, everybody's looking for a quick fix. I get it, but man, it's so much better when you just have that long-term result that you know what you're getting. I think you build without any side effects, man. I mean, I just, with something natural. I mean, a lot of our products are food grade. I mean, I'm not just talking, you know, trying to pump Alitura. I mean, there are a lot, I mean, just pay attention to the ingredients and then the things that sometimes they'll hide at the bottom of the ingredient deck. Some companies even unfold their, you know, the brochures to, you know, so they have that all the way at the end. I mean, I've seen that brands hiding the ingredients that probably shouldn't be there. And so there's a way that between from a filler standpoint, from a preservative standpoint, fragrance, and also just the different cleansers that you can get, that, you know, the different surfactants that aren't harsh, you know, sodium lauryl sulfates and that dry out the skin, and I believe just are completely counterproductive and don't serve the skin at all. You can get the same thing, emulsifying agents, a very good, just creamy texture from nature, from, you know, from sources as close to, you know, their original state as possible. I mean, I source ingredients from all around the world because of that reason. I mean, the people that it's not, I mean, that have a story behind it. I mean, our Brazilian acai butter that we harvest, I mean, it's like a 12 to 16 week lead time where you basically employ like a village or of people. And we have pictures and stories to document this with it that are just beautiful. I cannot wait to go out there and meet some of them. But I've been to our manufacturer for the Gold Serum, Night Cream, Body Lotion, and moisturizer in Hawaii. We have several different manufacturers for our products, but specifically basically, if you order that Gold Serum right now, this is the cool thing I love about our products is that the honey, the beeswax, propolis, pollen, royal jelly used in that was on a comb in a hive a couple months ago. And so like you're really getting fresh, live, active, enzyme-rich products that just really kind of eat up. I've always been obsessed with bee products in general. That's that's probably our most popular product right there until the meteorite scrub comes out. But that right there, I mean, it's basically the Gold Serum specifically. It's that right there. It's like the best of cutting edge science with active ingredients. We have plant derived vitamin A, which is a really good natural organic form of retinol. Now, retinol, It's undeniably effective for fine lines and wrinkles and crow's feet around the eye area, but it's so, I mean, you get harsh irritation from the sun. It makes your skin very sensitive. It has a lot of potential to get irritation around that area and a lot of downtime as well when it resurfaces that area. We have something a little more gentle that we source from France to replace that, as well as copper peptide, marine collagen, astaxanthin, and CoQ10 to really hit it at a cellular level to develop that just a thicker collagen layer during the collagen synthesis process. Following that up, using that after the clay mask, I mean, I just really feel like it just develops the healthiest skin cell during that state where your skin is just really brightened and all that blood flow is near the surface of the skin. And say you do something like a derma roller to open up the epidermis to let those ingredients sink in a little bit further. I mean, it's a flat out $300 facial out of the comfort of your own home. I mean, I seriously, I want to start comparing that. I don't know how I could do that, but I swear, I mean, all of our products are being used in back bar, med spas all around the world. But so basically they're using our clay mask and then following it up. But I want to open up an Alitura, almost like a Kiehl's, just an Alitura, just standalone store, have 4 estheticians sell our products, just do the Alitura signature facial. I guarantee it'd be out and then give them the products at the end, right? Or maybe use a derma roller rather than, or maybe we'd use a microneedling machine. Who knows? But insert the Gold Serum and that inject it into your skin, basically. So you're like,
Speak it, brother.
No, it's an idea right now, but I swear we can do it. 4 estheticians, 4 booths, including that facial right there with the derma roller, clay mask, letting it dry. gently rinsing it off, applying, then maybe a little cold, they have those like cryofacials, maybe following up with that to close the pores, and then finishing with the gold serum and then sending them home with that bottle. I just know, that there is nothing more effective than that facial. My skin is so sensitive, and I used to get facials, but then I couldn't afford them. So that's when I started the clay mask every Sunday night. And, but I started to feel that I knew what I was getting every single time with that routine. I mean, the clays just completely clean out your pores, but at the same time, it just generates this glow that sticks for at least 24 hours. And so it makes my skin feel just nice and tight, releases a lot of congestion around the nasal and eye area. I could keep going and going and going. I can't
I love it.
Say enough about that product. Though.
It's for those that are not watching, and if you're just listening, what I was doing momentarily while Andy was talking and explaining everything, I had pulled up the products list, and I kind of went through some of the various products that he was talking about while he was talking about it. But Andy, if you don't mind, can you just kind of list off the products that you have available currently right now, and then let's maybe talk about where this, the company's going with future products. And I know you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's maybe talk about what you have now currently and where you think it's going.
Oh, absolutely. So we have the clay mask, and what I did right after that was I listened to the customers. They because I didn't know the whole process. I didn't do a full on release of a full line of products. I listened to the customers because I didn't, and then I found a manufacturer for a liquid product. Liquid product manufacturers are a lot different, obviously, than dry. Some people specialize in certain areas, and some people, than others. You can't just be great at everything. So I found a beautiful manufacturer out in Hawaii to make my moisturizer. That was a follow-up product to the clay mask. And then just kind of started. I knew I had that. Remember I told you about the little paste I made? Well, I reached out to the same manufacturer, and their specialty is obviously bee products. And so the beeswax, and I started going through the formulation for my night cream. And slowly over time, that's how it all started, Josh. I would take the money that we made through that, the profit, and then invest in formulating a new product and in the R&D process for that's just, it continued over a year, year over year, introducing new products, like the body lotion, the night cream, like you said, that led to the body lotion. Then that led to a device, a derma roller that helps open up the outer layers of your pores to let the ingredients sink in a little bit further. The body lotion right there. Yeah, that's a special product.
I love it.
That right, man, it is. It's bottled in maroon glass, Brazilian acai butter, lemongrass, Australian sandalwood, has a little Madagascar vanilla in there, ylang ylang, evening primrose oil. I'm telling you, it's technically edible. When I would take that to conferences, I'd pour a little on my hand and go, how many products can you say that about? And then it became like kind of a little bit of a cleanup situation. So I stopped doing that. But yeah, that's the thing. We wanted to make products as clean as we can, and then use really good glass. And the Miron glass, their whole motto is it's preserved by the bottle, not by toxins. They only let in the good UV rays to preserve the bioactivity of the ingredients that are so close to nature and not cooked and not pasteurized. We want to really, really maintain the life of the products, and they do it naturally through that. So we don't have to use any harsh preservatives. We use EcoCert approved. It's almost like a coconut lactobacillus extract, like a little bit of almost kind of like a yogurt, but it has a good, almost probiotic effect to the skin, as well as a radish filtrate as our preservatives for the night cream and our cleanser and our meteorite scrub as well. But after the body lotion, we made a cleanser. And now the thing with our Pearl cleanser, we use colloidal silver in there to eat up the bacteria, in an olive-based surfactant, which really gently cleanse the pores, but don't overly dry the skin. We use a little organic tremella mushroom in there that's a very high source of hyaluronic acid. Same thing, freshwater pearl powder, kale, and clay. It's just in a blend of essential oils, jasmine, German chamomile, sandalwood. It just smells great. I look forward to using that. I know what I'm getting every single time. The good thing about this is I test on myself, and then we go forward with the beta testing. But I have such sensitive skin. I know that I'm going to react to something that's not, I'm going to break out basically if it doesn't react well with mine. I'm not going to go forward with it in the beta testing. So I start off with me. There's something about pearl powder, pearl, sandalwood, bee products, olive oil. Those are like my go-tos right there. And then I'm slowly finding out more and more about these different extracts all around the world. Like, these little mini coconuts called cahoons, cacao plum, acai butter, buriti, andiroba. I mean, there are just so many nutrient dense plants, fruits, extracts that are so antioxidant rich that help free radicals and can help moisturize the skin and serve our skin and beautify the skin. That's my creative outlet, Josh, is finding those, hopefully before anybody else does. You know what I mean? And then experimenting and see what works and doesn't work. My mom tells me I used to have this little lab in our backyard, and I'd make these little potions. I have video of this, by the way. I can't believe I haven't put this on the website. But
oh, dude, let's see it.
it all makes sense. I know. And I'm what was I, like 7? And I had this little lab, and I'm not sure if there's a correlation there, but I think there may be. But I love emulsion. I love trying things out. My parents got me a chemistry set. At the time, I didn't really like it, but there's all this little symbolism, this symbolism that all makes sense now. And I like, yeah, I mean, even some of these things I'm just thinking about right now, but I mean, it's, there's a way to get just, I feel like better results and not have any type of downtime through natural products that are that close to the earth. I swear, just the European route of just, I feel like just cleansing the system, getting good sunlight, moisturizing the skin, living a low stress, getting good recovery, good restorative sleep, and taking care of yourself. I just feel like that's the recipe right there. And then feeding yourself nutrient dense nutrition. Man, I'm fascinated with that. Matter of fact, we're going to be making a product down the road for skin longevity. That's we're going to be getting an ingredient from all the blue zones. For it's going to be made Alitura Blue, BLU with a little accent over the U. Alitura Blue, just for Just are you familiar with blue zones?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I want to get just like an ingredient from several different blue zones, and just with the idea of whole just skin longevity.
Something that's fascinating about the blue zone conversation. A lot of people don't know this, but when I watched a documentary in which they talked about all the like blue zones around the world and things like that, and apparently the only reason why it was actually blue is because the researcher who was researching all these areas, he happened to be using a blue marker whenever he was doing the documentation of the pinpointing all the spots around the world. And so it became known as the blue zone because the areas that had like the best numbers based on their research happened to be highlighted in blue, which I thought was pretty interesting. Right? Which I thought it was really fascinating because it could have easily been like, they could have been a yellow zone, it could have been a green zone, it could have been any color, but they just happen to have blue markers, and that's what they stuck with over the period of the research. So, yeah,
interesting.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So I think what we were talking about basically was just kind of wrapping up in the sort of the product line and where it started and kind of where it is now, and then where it's headed. And while I do have the people that are watching, while I have them still with us, I do want to show that you can get various packages. So I'm just going to share this really quick. And then, of course, I'll mention it at the end again, and I'll link to it as well. But we do have a discount code, which is, I believe, Josh20. So for anybody, anybody looking for, a good discount on any of the products here on the page that you see, feel free to do so. And if you're like me, you want to really dive into all the things that that Andy's been talking about and all the things that are available, you might go with the ultimate skincare package, or maybe even go big with the Alitura skincare collection. And I want to get my hands on the derma roller, by the way. Yeah.
No, we'll get that to you. We'll get that to you. You know, the at-home facial is a great introduction to the brand. You know, that's just, you know, you keep it simple, that, you know, maybe once or twice a week. I do it a little bit more, just with the application of the derma roller and clay mask after cleansing. Leave that on until it completely dries. Rinse it off in the shower. Follow up with that gold serum. And if you want to get a little night cream to seal in the results and repair and heal at the most important time to do so, while you're sleeping, I think that's pretty much the routine right there. You know, we're going to be developing, well, it's already done, a meteorite scrub that has mandelic acid, lactic acid, fulvic acid, hyaluronic acid, pearl powder, and then ground meteorite powder from a meteor that landed in Morocco. Just kind of our little twist right there.
That's dope.
I mean, it does have carbon in it, but it's a mild exfoliant that just has that like cosmic energy. I love that it's in there, as well as the different resurfacing acids that are going to help develop just a nice, smooth, even skin tone, while gently exfoliating. So that right there is something that we're really looking forward to. Probably in 2022, we've teased it out a little bit in our conferences, and I think that's going to be one of the most effective skincare products ever made. I really mean that. Long time ago, I saw on Cosmo magazine, they did a special on Vintner's daughter, her serum. Her name's Angela, and that product's incredible. But I was like, man, that's been a big goal of mine. I want something similar. I swear this is going to be talked about long after I'm gone.
Is this the thing that you sent to me? Because you guys sent me something when I was in LA still, and you had sent me a couple little small round containers that had like hashtag 12456 or something like that on it. It was like I have it here somewhere with me, but it was a little powder that wasn't labeled Alitura like it normally is, and I feel like it was something unique and something special, but I didn't ask.
Interesting. I wonder what that was.
I have it. I'll maybe send it to you once I get a photo of it.
Yeah, I've been working on that formula for 4.5 years.
Okay.
I mean, so it's possible. I don't know when you were in LA, but yeah, I remember bringing. It
was last year.
Last year.
Yeah, like in 2020, okay. I was in LA for 10 months throughout 2020. So
interesting. Yeah, shoot me a picture of that. I'm curious, but yeah, that's a product that we're so excited about. I'm going to be making. You know, everybody's not everybody, but I mean, we get a lot of messages about a sunscreen and which sunscreen I would recommend to use. Now, I don't use a lot of sunscreen, and nobody's nailed a natural or like a good killer above and beyond clean sunscreen. And so we're going to town on that right now with our third revision, and I'm very excited about that. We're going to be doing a kind of like a Castile soap, similar to Dr. Bronner's, just a body wash as well as deodorant. We're going to be doing a candle that's scented like Presence, our fragrance. It's pretty popular as well. And then why not get into supplements? I want to take the Alitura into more of like the lifestyle and wellness space as well. It's because it's whole. Yeah. I mean, it's whole body. I mean, everything. Yeah. It's getting into. I mean, man, I geek out on. We could go to. I mean, we just did it last time on our live as well with peptides and everything that we're using. Yeah. I mean, and you brought up a really good point about BPC 157 and potentially even putting that in some skincare products down the road. I mean, the way this the science is going and as technology expands and grows, and I'm just excited to research and find out more and more of what is out there but at a natural, holistic level.
Exactly. I would hope that we stay in touch and if I can lend any kind of helping hand on some of the things that I know in terms of what I've been doing with skincare or just any of this stuff, feel free to lean on me in any way necessary. One of the things that I found a lot of benefit with along with, using your clay mask and things like that. One of the things that I found a lot of benefit when it comes to skincare, and I think we touched on it a little bit in the Instagram Live, is sodium bicarbonate. And I use sodium bicarbonate, but when people hear me say that, they say, well, isn't that just baking soda? Yes, that is just baking soda. But there's baking soda, and then there's the pharmaceutical, medical grade, food grade sodium bicarbonate. And it can be very different, because lots of the sodium bicarbonate or baking soda you see on the market today has a lot of like metals in it. And it's not good to be consuming that or to have that on your skin all the time. But you can find some that is known as Trona, Trona sodium bicarbonate. And I'm working with this group out of Australia that, depending on when this comes out, I may become like a distributor for them, because it's such a superior baking soda. And I use it, I drink it like basically every morning. I sip on it throughout the day, and I use it also at night before going to sleep. It has tremendously changed the way I sleep and also the appearance of my skin. But then I also put it into a spray bottle, a small amount into a spray bottle with very clean water. And I spray that, lightly mist it over my body and all through my hair. And that stuff, Andy, like, I promise you, like, if you want, I could even send you some, because that stuff is a game changer, Really? Yeah. So I can imagine like someone using products like that with your clay mask and your other products. I imagine that this could really help amplify where people are going. And here's the thing, it's not expensive. It's like, and that's the thing I like about your products is like, you've got a reasonable price, plus you offer discounts, plus, you're such a cool dude that, like, you're really out here trying to help. You're giving out free product here and there because you want people to talk about it. And I think this is what most people want to support. And so I fully support it. And so if there's anything that you think is on the horizon, then please shout it out. I would love to have you, talk about it more on the show. And, I'll obviously be a guinea pig anytime.
Oh, I appreciate that. I still have to get you the Santal Black. I want to see how that works for like a hair oil for you, dude. You got it. Yeah,
I'm going to put this.
Different kinds of sandalwood.
This is the one that, because you mentioned it before on the Instagram chat, and I wasn't quite sure what it was, but it's the oil. Let me go here now. It's a body oil with a fragrance, right?
Right. And so I originally made that to be a beard oil. Now I was going to partner up with a Major League Baseball player who has a beard, and he was going to release that. And it was so much more than just a beard oil. I mean, I would put a little dabs underneath my underarm area. I mean, it was a perfect deodorant. It has a nice, it's 96% certified organic, 2 different kinds of sandalwood, as Indian and Australian sandalwood, a little bergamot, babasu, black pepper, and vanilla in there. It's just sweet, sexy. It's like a body oil, but it's really good it's just multifaceted. I mean, it can be massage oil, hair, body, face. Like I said, some people use it even as a fragrance alternative as well. But yeah, I have to get you some of that because I want to see how it works with your hair. But yeah, I mean, I completely agree with sodium bicarbonate. Matter of fact, did you know Gerolsteiner has a really high potency of sodium bicarbonate? And I think it's like 1,800 milligrams per liter or something like that.
I didn't know it was that
dissolved solids.
I didn't know it was that high, but I do recall Gerolsteiner and the other one that is, I'm drawing a blank on it. It was featured in the show with Darren Olean and Zac Efron. It was featured in there. Vita. I can't remember the name of it, but it's another water like Gerolsteiner, probably even more.
Really?
And it's it for some people, it's kind of an acquired taste because it's kind of salty, right? And this is what drinking sodium bicarbonate of the right amount, by the way, right? Drinking it of the right amount, it feels velvety. It feels a little like you're drinking velvet. I can't really explain it, but there's a lot of benefit from that, and I plan on doing some podcasts talking about it in depth. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Gerolsteiner, and I think the other one is called like Vitale. It's a Spanish water. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, it's like $6.
Yeah, it's expensive.
And it's so good though. You're right. It is a little salty. It has like, I forget. Yeah, it has at least has like 10 times the natural sodium, which is great. I mean, that's the thing. It's just keeping, as we age, we're depleted of the minerals that just keep our, collagen, elastin, our connective tissue intact. And so it's important to reintroduce those minerals that we lose over time. I supplement with minerals as well, drinking water, the trace minerals, Redmond, sea salt, it's so important for just overall health and well-being, cognition, but skin health as well.
Absolutely.
So that's good that you're doing.
Here it is. Vichy Catalan. Vichy Catalan. That's the one I was talking about. I have it here. Let me just open this up.
Is it a dimpled bottle? Kind of like a really
it's
I
right here.
I swear they had that at Air One when I was there.
Do you see it right here? It just pulled up. Vichy Catalan sparkling mineral water.
That's it.
Yeah.
And, Josh, this is a little bit of a tangent, but you're not going to believe this. There is a Vichy hot springs in Ukiah, California. Okay.
Really?
I went there. Yeah. I went there and oh man, you're not going to believe this. I went there in September, right before the Upgrade conference in Orlando. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got this guy on the phone. It's true though. I want to use their water as our water base in our products. And now there's a Vichy spring in France there that doesn't have this. It's the only place in the world in Ukiah, California, that has the same. They have to import this other spring into this other spring to make the combination that this spring gets naturally just by this guy. It's another long story, but it may happen here, but we're in initial negotiations. Because water, I'm obsessed with water. Just mineral water particularly, but yeah, that is the one I believe. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine, Anthony Gustin from Perfect Keto, I think he was trying to figure out how to get that exported in at a mass level, because it's not, you can't find that anywhere.
Yeah,
it's difficult to find, but yeah,
Air One has it.
Be nice.
And Air One has it, and I think it's not many other places. To be honest, I don't think Whole Foods has it. But yeah, like I'm with you. I'm also a huge water connoisseur because at the end of the day, we're approximately 70% water. So if you get the water right, I think you're doing something right. It's like this is kind of how we power ourselves. So I think now, so we've talked about your story, your background. We've talked about some of the challenges that have led you to kind of coming up with the product as it exists today. We went through a bit of the product line and some of the things on the horizon. What are some other things that you would like to put out there that you would like people to know about when it comes to all things skincare or your brand or you or what comes to mind?
Oh man, right now we're looking for help. We're a little understaffed. I really, especially with where we're at as in this world right now. I'm looking for young, just driven people to join the team. I want to spread the word. We do things differently. This is a complete, a heartfelt movement that I really feel. I'm very close to my customers. I still I'll hop on the phone and talk with them. We have 3 other employees, but we definitely want to expand and secure distribution worldwide. We're in 89 countries now. I would say it's good, but I mean, we're looking to expand, and what we need, that's my next step is to figure out how to, whether it's moving into a fulfillment center on my own, whether it's, starting to really put that personal touch that in the beginning, that's really what brought people in. That's what I want to do. I want to just enhance the customer experience on that personal level. I want to get open forums on how we can improve. I want to, whether it's through like a Slack platform or different groups on social media. I mean, I want to make it more interactive, and do more podcasting, get the word out there, just on different routines and remedies, and continue to just create products that with an intention of just standing alone. I mean, it takes a little bit longer, but it's my thing. It's what I'm here to do. And so it's absolutely my purpose. So, I mean, I would say right now that's a big focus of mine. It's, we had a good year. And then we didn't even release a new product this year. So that's what's very exciting about 2022 is we have 5 or 6 products that could be buttoned up by the end of summer. And so that's exciting. I mean, getting a new product in the store for me, it's been a little bit, but because I've been working on them, but that's the best feeling in the world is getting a new family member in the store, and then hearing the response. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing better than going to the conferences and meeting customers face to face and hearing just what the products have done for them. That right there, starting my own podcast, getting out, maybe speaking a little bit more, and then down the road, getting more into, who knows, maybe supplementation. It doesn't even have to be skin related. It can be more. I mean, as an ex-athlete, I love working out, love supplements, love staying in shape. So maybe go a little bit more into that direction. I want to start my own consulting program as well. Business, entrepreneurial, skincare, health, wellness. So I'm going to be doing that, as well as, I'm going to have my own personal website, andyhnilo.com.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be coming out in 2022 as well. But really just, I mean, same thing as you, just living life, trying to do it now. We don't try, just optimizing ourselves.
Yeah.
And we do. Exactly.
Yeah.
And just, you know how it is, man. I'm extremely grateful to have something. I mean, when I was 20, like I said, when I was 29, starting that, Josh, like I really, you wait for the phone to ring and you make money, you book jobs here and there as an actor, but man, it's gone. You know what I mean? That's rent right there.
Yeah.
And so, but it's fun. It's the most, oh man, I love acting. I'm going to get back into it. But I just love what I'm doing. So, I mean, my responsibility is to stay the course, get better. I want to find out from our customers and get more of a feedback platform to figure out how we can get better. This close, I mean, it's just, I'm living my dream, man. I mean, I really am. And I just, it's a very impactful industry, man. And when it touches you, and when you know that crippling aspect of where I've been, back in the days when I had back acne and didn't want to turn around in my locker, my teammates make fun of me, I've been down and out. And so my big thing right now is helping people get out of that and get back into like their true, like childlike self. You know what I mean? Like I use the example of Olivia. I mean, it's just, she is so bubbly, man. I mean, having her in the booth in Orlando and just showing that before, and there was like a retractable banner with like a before and after, and then of her, and then she's right there in the booth just explaining her routines. I mean, dude, this is just such a,
wow.
Because we all want to look good, feel good. You're going to create a better, ripple effect everywhere you go in life. And so if we could play a small part in that as individuals, making others feel better, man. I mean, now is the time to do that, especially where we're at in society, So, I mean,
well put.
Yeah, I'm just going to stay the course and treat others as how I'd like to be treated. It's just, I like to keep it simple like that, but kind of go above and beyond in other areas.
Yeah.
If we can naturally,
Right. Yeah. Thank you for that, man. I appreciate it. I think it's amazing. It's cool to see your journey again. I'll keep referring to the Instagram live chat that we talked about. In fact, I think what I'll try to do is link to that in this description of the podcast, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening. Feel free to go to all the links, and I'll try to provide as much content about this topic, because there's a lot, right? And in fact, one of the things I do recall from your early days before you got, before you ramped up and started doing what you're doing now, I recall you not only showing videos of you kind of making the product in your garage, but also doing like hill sprints and working out. And, this dude can work out, everybody. Like, this dude can get it. And his body shows and his mind shows. I think it's body and mind, right? So I think it will be exciting for people to kind of see what it's like to be a high level athlete like yourself, who's also running a skincare business. I think it's very admirable. And I hope that you get all the success that you and your company deserve, because it's been fun watching you grow. So,
thank you, Josh.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I want to do before we wrap up completely is I think we did this on the Instagram live as well. When I do my podcast show and I have a guest on, I always like to ask 2 questions. One question is, what are your top 2 pet peeves? And then I like to finish with something you're most grateful for. And again, with the pet peeves, I kind of seem to remember we may have talked about that on the Instagram live. But when it comes to pet peeves, the reason why I even like to bring it up as a potential negative is that I like people to kind of understand better how a person operates and how they kind of how they think, and it might help other people interact better with you or the person I might be asking that question. So talk about a ripple effect. If I can talk to people about their pet peeves, then maybe there's this 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, 4 degrees of separation that we are able to interact better with each other. So that's why I like to ask that.
Number 1, dishonesty, lack of truth, without question. Just tell me. I can take anything. Just tell me the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is so much more respected. I have so many examples, and sometimes it sucks. You know what I mean? Telling the truth. Relationship standpoint, dude, you just be honest, man. Be honest, dude. You can deal with the truth. You can't deal with something that's not. So that's, oh man, number 1. It just would have been so much easier had you told me the truth.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's number 1. Number 2 is like, I don't know. It's a lack of an open mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just so deflating sometimes, especially in our industry, man, when you're like, no, but it's okay. Here's a healthier alternative. Here's an alternative. It's like, try it out. Not just what you hear, what you've been, told to believe. Think for yourself and please be open-minded. When you're not, I can't, because I'll give I'll listen. I mean, I'm a sponge. I love listening. I'll take what I want, leave the rest. You know what I mean? But I give people the respect especially if they're passionate about it, unless they're being disrespectful. But yeah, I mean, I just have a lack of an open mind. You know what I mean? It's just what really kind of, I want to hear other people's opinions. Maybe it'll affect mine. You know what I mean? So just lack of an open mind. That little bit of a pet peeve. It's a great question, by the way.
Thank you. No, and I can tell it definitely gets under your skin a bit, right? Because the passion you exude when you explain it. So I think you nailed it. I think it's great. So then, what is something you are most grateful for? This is a really good way to finish on a positive note.
Oh, my family. Without question, my family. I mean, I had everyone here with the exception of my brother this past weekend for the first time in a long time. It was so beautiful. It just, a little pre-Christmas before my sisters and their families, head off to visit the in-laws and all that. Just the love, man. I mean, my sisters took care of me. I just have I can't, it's hard to talk about, but yeah, I have such a deep love for my family, my sisters and my brother, my mom and dad. I'm just so grateful to have that, because it's not, some people's family situations isn't like that. And it breaks my heart. A lot of my good friends, I mean, it's just not, you know, they come from situations that weren't as positive as mine growing up. Just very grateful to have such a loving family. You know what I mean?
Beautiful, man.
And be that close with them.
Yeah, well said. And when you explain that, I feel sort of like I kind of got thrust back to the beginning of our conversation, in which, you know, you got hit by your, you know, by the vehicles, and, you know, your life flashes before your eyes. And you said, you know, you kind of, you were thrust into a whole different awareness, and, you know, and you were probably shown immediately what's most important for you, you know? So yeah, it's a nice one to end on, man. Yeah. So much gratitude to the Hnilos and you and everything you do. So
you as well. Of
course we've belabored everything Alitura, and I'm sure there's even more. So you guys can go and check out Alitura.com, spelled ALITURA.com. Also, Andy, where can people find out more about you and other things you have going on?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm on social media. Andy Hnilo. Last name's a little complicated. It's HNILO, ANDYHNILO, and we also have Alitura Naturals at Alitura Naturals, and I am all over those accounts. I'm on both all the time.
Yeah.
So I just I love this. You know, I mean, I found my purpose. I have something that I just can't get enough of, and I'm, you know, I just, you know, having that purpose daily, something to do, something to look forward to. I'm just in that there's overwhelming gratitude to have that in life. You know what I mean? And so I love what I'm doing. We come from a really, you know, we have a good team, and we're looking to expand with other, you know, incredible human beings out there. I love what I do, and I just we're going to stay the course.
We can tell.
I really appreciate you reaching out and having me on. You know, you're a good dude. Can't wait to meet you in person one of these days, man.
Yeah, soon. We're going to make that happen. Definitely going to make that happen. And again, Andy, thank you for your time. For all the listeners and the viewers, please feel free to check out Andy, check out Alitura Naturals, go to alitura.com. Also, please feel free to use the discount code 20% off Josh20. That is an exceptional way to save on some amazing products that can hopefully transform your life like it's transformed many others. If you have any questions or concerns or comments, please feel free to drop it in the comment section, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on any of the podcast platforms. And if you like this kind of content, feel free to reach out to myself about it, reach out to Andy, anybody at the Alitura team. They're amazing. And I hope you guys get the help that you need. And I'm sure you will. But yeah, this is Josh signing out. Much gratitude to you, Andy. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for your time. And we'll talk very soon. Peace, everybody. Peace.
Walk the talk, talking facts. Move like me, but I move a little fast. Make my move, here to last. Fasten these seatbelts, I'm coming past. Take care of me, longevity. Hack my biology, better believe. Walking the talk, soul, mind, and body connected. Better come give us a listen. Better come give us a minute or two. Open the box up, we giving you tools. Giving your engine the fuel that it needs. Breathing into it, it's autoimmune. Make a connection, we're stronger in two. Making us one of a kind of a few. Work on the mind, but show me your moves. If you do what you say, you know what to do. Yeah.
Simply walk the talk.